Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, MPs threaten tough action against ministers over assurances. What mechanism MPs planning to use to hold them accountable? Under the current Ugandan parliamentary system, ministers are required to address parliament on issues pertaining to their respective sectors and also answer questions raised by MPs at any time. In the recent past, ministers have committed government to funding critical projects, but on several occasions, no action has been carried out. Now MPs are getting frustrated over this development and are now planning to take action against any minister who makes a pledge on the floor of parliament or in constituencies and yet they do not deliver. MPs are also unhappy about presidential pledges and pronouncements that are never delivered, with some proposing that the president should be restricted to directing action through ministries and not using a budget line of donations and pledges. In Parliament, there is an oversight committee known as the Committee on Government Assurances that is mandated to handle all assurances made by ministers on behalf of government. This committee has been in limbo, but the new committee leadership is now promising action, saying they want to ensure that ministers are held accountable for statements they make in Parliament. They insist that on ethical grounds, ministers must not tell lies to Parliament and that such lies tantamount to breaching public trust. So tonight we'll look at how the Committee of Parliament on Government Assurance is planning to deal with ministers and how this will in turn benefit the general public. Our guests tonight, Hon Samuel Odonga Otto, Aruu County MP, also Chairman of the Committee on Government Assurance. You're most welcome, Hon Otto.
Thank you so much.
We're also joined by Hon Godfrey Kiwanda, Mityana South Mp, also Vice Chairman of the Committee on Government Assurance. You're most welcome, Hon Kiwanda.
Thank you very much. Mityana North. I'm not the Vice Chairman, a member.
You're a member of that committee. You come from Mityana North.
Yes.
Pardon me there. Before we deal with the issues that you are raising, can you begin by telling us the mandate, Hon Otto, of this Committee on Government Assurance?
Well, thank you so much for inviting us and specifically for inviting me as the chairman of the Committee of Government Assurance. I know listeners out there are saying, is this a new committee? According to Commonwealth practice, there are 4 accountability committees which are headed by opposition members of parliament. We have the PAC, Public Accounts Committee, that everyone knows of. We have the Local Government Accounts Committee, which is chaired by opposition. We have the committee called COSASE, which follows the parastatals like UMEME, National Water,
the New Vision, etc.
The New Vision, etc. And then we have the Committee of Government Assurance. The Committee of Government Assurance is one of the accountability committees in Parliament of Uganda. It has been in limbo for so long. I guess some listeners are hearing for the first time about government assurance. But we are mandated by Rule 153 of our Rules of Procedure of Parliament, which specifically gives us 4 responsibilities. 1, to scrutinize assurances and undertaking made by the President and his ministers in the floor of Parliament. We've got to get this right. It's not that if the President talks anywhere in Uganda, then it becomes an assurance.
Yes.
The rule restricts us to those commitments made in Parliament. Yes. So if the President promised a borehole in Karamoja, it's up to that area MP to bring it to Parliament, and when the minister responds, then we can make it an assurance. And our mandate is to scrutinize all these kind of pledges and commitments made by the President, by the ministers, by the Minister of Finance during the budget speech, and then follow up by going to the field to find out the extent to which these pledges and commitments made in Parliament have been completed, and then we accordingly report to Parliament. For example, it is our Committee of Government Assurance that pushed the Minister of Works hard to open the Northern Bypass behind schedule. Today in Parliament, we have been handling the issue of electricity because the President, in his address to Parliament, and the Minister of Finance promised that Bujagali power project would be launched in November last year, and up to today it is not done. So this committee actually I would say, is the mother of all committees, because even the budget speech amounts to an assurance. So any commitment formally made by the president or his ministers in the floor of parliament, or brought by an MP that during the campaigns the president said this, and if an MP raises it in parliament and a minister responds, then automatically it also becomes a parliamentary assurance. So I would say Rule 153 gives us the mandate, and we have been working as a team underground to ensure that we do the necessary preparations to hold these ministers and the president firm,
yes,
accountable to the electorates, accountable to Ugandans. And I can assure you we have a robust plan that in the next 2-3 weeks we will be coming out clearly to Ugandans, to the public, holding the minister and even the president accountable for the words they make to the general population of Uganda.
All right, let's get some more clarity here. If the president promised, to use your own words, a borehole in Karamoja, you can't follow it up. It has to be brought onto the floor of parliament by whoever is concerned.
Yes, usually in the State of Nation address, when the president addressed parliament on the general conditions of the country, it is a very elaborate address. It is ceremonial, and the president usually talks for about 4 hours. It is very unlikely that you'll find any area which the president has not touched. So even from the State of Nation address alone, we have a strong staff directly paid by donors. These are things which have just taken place 6 months we have been in office, that sit down to get assurances. So what do we call assurances? The government will do this. I undertake to do this. We promise to do this. We shall report on that matter. We have all expressions, about 26, that the moment the president says it, it is extracted. The moment the minister says any of those expressions, we shall look into that. We now extract them to be assurances. So in the State of the Nation address, the president talks generally on the entire country. Then in the budget speech, the entire budget speech by the Minister of Finance also covers almost all areas of the country. Then we come to the policy statement of each minister presented before the parliament. So at the end of the day, what is presented before parliament nearly covers 80% of the assurances all over the country. So if the president goes to Kapchora tomorrow and say, we are going to build a secondary school for girls so that they don't go the female genital mutilation, the way he said in the last campaign,
yes,
it is now up to the area MP
to bring it to
the floor of parliament. And the moment the minister comments that we are following up that, then it now becomes before the Committee of Government Assurance.
All right. Honorable Kiwanda, you're a member of this committee. Why? Can you give us some background why you think it's been in limbo?
Yeah, the Committee of Government Assurance, it's been in limbo. We couldn't basically blame it on the leadership. But basically, the problem has been the way people perceived this committee. One, when you talk about an assurance, you know, politics is basically about promises.
Yes.
People thought that that's why you've been hearing that people think generally politics is full of lies and promises and what and what. We had to take some field visits. We had to go to Zambia. There are some committees like in Africa, about 2 countries, yes, where this committee is very, very, very strong. We had to take some visits to these countries, and we compared notes about the Committee of Government Assurance. Actually, at the beginning of this term, we had even a retreat where we say, okay, this committee, people don't take it serious. Basically, probably we have, as leadership and as members of this committee, probably we've not brought this on board. And we also identified some other loopholes in the rules of procedure that we have already proposed to the rules committee, which are going to be amended, like Honorable Otto rightly said. Like picking up the presidential pledges.
Yes.
Yeah. One.
You want to tackle them as they show up, as you hear them in the news or whatever.
Exactly. Actually, we even came one day. We were even proposing that even a manifesto of a ruling party. If a ruling party, any party, if you are making a manifesto, you must make sure that one, you are making a very big document. Is an agreement between you and the Ugandans, and people have voted you over that manifesto that you've made. And why we wanted this? We don't want people to make big lies before Ugandans. You must be sure when you have a political party, don't just talk that I'm going to educate all students, I'm going to all students in the university, it's going to be free. No, you should be accountable. Once your party has gone through, actually, one of our amendments that we want even to take onto this, because if you've made that promise, it's a basing on that promise that people have given you votes. Really, if you don't fulfill anything in that promise, that means it's a big lie. And we want to make sure that we reduce on the promises made before people. And secondly, we raise people's anxiety. You talk about something, you know there is no funding, but you've raised the anxiety. You've made people, like you say, we are going to have a students' loan. Students are going, we are going to give them money, and they do this. You've raised their demand, you've raised their anxiety, and you don't have the capacity to fulfill this. So we want government to be accountable. And ministers, even there are a lot of confusion is in the constituencies. The Minister of Works just come to say, we are going to tarmac this road. We are going to tarmac Muyembe, Nakapiripiri road to Moroto. When? And actually this committee talks about so much about time. Because we have a committee on physical infrastructure, for example, there is a committee on natural resources. Definitely, this one deals with power and what. Yeah. But ours is also about time frame.
Yes.
Give us the time. Okay, you've said Bujagari is going to be open. When? The minister they have just assured that the 250 megawatts by July they will be, all the turbines will be running.
Yes.
And by next week on 7th, one turbine is going to be running.
Yes.
That is on 7th. And we are following up this. Actually, on Thursday, Friday, we are going to visit. And we have to make sure that the minister has, this should be fulfilled. Otherwise, if it's not fulfilled, he owes an apology to Ugandans. There should be an apology. Ugandans should not take a fair ride. If a minister, you come up with a statement, you must defend it. We also, by that, we also very serious. We've also come up with a proposal that if government is not sure, it has made a promise, is not sure of making it, please come on the floor and withdraw it.
Or you want them to withdraw it?
Withdraw. Before they got that, okay, we've made this, but you know how embarrassing it is.
Right.
You come as a minister, you say,
with all the embarrassment,
yes,
dresses you up.
Yeah, you come the front and say, okay, I said this, maybe I was out of my mind. Yeah, eat your own words. But not just leaving Ugandans like that. So we've come up, and these new proposals and new amendments, which are already in our rules of procedure, they are going to make this committee more powerful, because it's giving us to bite. And more to this committee, we are working hand in hand with these other committees. Yes. Because we have these other committees, they may not be able to follow up each and everything, but the Committee on Government Assurance, we are even coming up with a publication. Yeah. In each and every 3 months, we are coming up with a publication, all the promises and all the assurances the government has made on the floor of Parliament. We are coming up with a publication. Say, on such and such a day, Honourable Minister, you made this promise. When is it going to be done? And we are publishing this by next week. Next week we shall be publishing our first publication. We are launching it, and this is going to help us to track all the assurances, every assurance. So we even urge our honourable members of Parliament. There are some assurances in the manifesto, like for the ruling party NRM. There is a power line which was assured in your constituency.
Yes.
Please raise it on the floor of Parliament.
But someone might promise something just to excite people. Why don't you forgive them?
That's what we want to stop. Because we cannot take politics.
This man wants those votes very bad.
Yeah, really. If we do that, then we are taking Ugandans for a ride. And that's what we want. That is the intention of having this.
Actually, if I may add on that, I wrote to all the members of Parliament.
Yes, as chairman of this committee.
As the chairman of the Government Assurance Committee.
Yes.
That they should submit to my office all the presidential pledges made in their constituencies.
Oh.
Yes.
Everything the president has promised.
Yes, because you are not, anyone is just not going to go around fooling Ugandans. I would even use the word conning Ugandans, saying something you cannot fulfill. So I wrote to all the members of Parliament to write to my office. Unfortunately, about 60% wrote.
60% have written?
Yes. 40% did not. I later learned that in the NRM caucus, Honorable John Nazasira told the MPs
it's not a good thing
to ignore my communication.
Yes.
I think they were not having the appreciation, committee members like Honorable Kiwanda, By the way, we are working together in my committee. We have General Katumbo Wamala, who we are all working together because we know that the moment the ruling party fulfills its pledge,
yes, they'll get
it makes life easier for everyone. But if the president does not do that, people will vote out the area MP. So we've written to all MPs. Some have replied. So what we are doing next week on the 14th, I would say we are launching an encyclopedia of pledges and assurances. I would call it encyclopedia.
How far back do you want to go? From which year?
Actually, we because this is a new parliament, it has a fresh mandate. So even in these last 6 months, we have over 1,378 assurances and commitments.
Yes, 1,378.
We shall have
from where?
From the beginning of this parliament.
From who? From the president?
From the president, from the Minister of Finance in the budget speech, and from the ministers in the floor of parliament. So we are going to have a situation where the assurances are dated and numbered. So we shall now summon you before the committee to come and respond to assurance number 6, because you already have the encyclopedia with you. So what we are trying to do, under my leadership, which I really thank God, we are trying to get rid of liars. You are just not going to go and fool people and go home.
But how will people get the votes they need so badly to come to parliament?
Yeah, but Ugandans should not be taken for a balloon ride. Go and say whatever you want, whether you are President Museveni, whether you are Dr. Besigye. But the moment you get into power, we are going to tell all the people you campaign to through their MPs to raise it in parliament. Actually now, we even are seeking a meeting with the president and say, sir, look at this. This list is becoming long. What is your plan? Where is the money?
You're talking about the pledges the president would have made?
Yes. As of now, they are fairly enormous. We are not witch hunting anyone, but what we want responsible leadership, where you go to the electorates there and promise what is within the budget of Uganda.
But you're going to make life very difficult for some of these politicians. Some of them will come to you and say, please ask for something else. Don't ask for the truth from us.
Actually, we went to Zambia, to the Zambian parliament and to the Ghanaian parliament. When the minister is in the floor of parliament, they have actually crammed those words which amount to assurances. They never make assurances. They are very careful because they know the implication. So we want lying to be a risky business in parliament. That's what the committee is trying to do. We want making useless open-ended statements to stop. So in Zambia, you'll see a minister say, are you aware of the status of Jinja Bukiri? The minister will say, I'm not aware. In Uganda, the minister will say, government is doing everything it takes to have it done. That's already an assurance.
And it takes about 5 years.
We are going to track you down. Now, what we'll do, out of these 1,378 assurances so far existing, we shall call ministers to respond to each and every of them. And then we shall present a report on parliament that ministers A, B, C is a liar.
Oh.
Now, in our rules, we want serious actions on those ministers. Either apologizing formally in parliament before all the MPs, as we say, shame, 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 or withdrawing that assurance,
or give us a time frame.
So if you have become perennially stubborn as a minister, giving endless promises, then that's a ready ground for removal from parliament.
You don't have time for anything else. I mean, all these pledges, these men are used to saying those things, and they literally love it.
For now, the book is big. For now, the book is big. But the moment the listeners out there, when a minister talks and you ask your MP, did you raise this assurance of the president in parliament? The book is going to dwindle in size. I can assure you, Edmond. So for now, you go to Ugandans, you promise water. You promise bridges even where there are no waters.
They could bring
you promise everything. But we are going to make life hard. And I really thank the Commonwealth practice that has made this part of the accountability committee. So we shall work for Ugandans, irrespective of political parties and irrespective of any kind of bias. We want delivery of services. The people of Pade, just like the people of Mityana, just like the people of Mbara, don't want load shedding. So this cannot be partisan issues.
Well, it's going to be very interesting. One senior government official, no names tonight, said, well, we have valley dams. You actually are standing on them, but you cannot see them. The last time I checked, valley dams actually had water in them. Maybe they were walking on water that day. Honorable Kiwanda, you say you want to change the pledge, the rules of procedure to include presidential pledges and and ruling party manifestos. Let's first talk about presidential pledges. There's been a long list of those for many years. It's a long list. How are you going to handle that?
Now, as my chairman has indicated here, now we may not concentrate so much on the pledges made in the 7th Parliament, 8th Parliament, 6th Parliament.
Yes.
That it might be too big.
Yes.
We must have somewhere to begin from. But even that, just from June to date, actually not even today, just before we went for recess, the pledges were already 1,378.
That is a gross. I'm talking about the presidential ones alone. Those two are many.
Yeah, the presidential ones are many. But the only thing is that if the president, because at times the president goes out, comes to Mityana and makes a pledge. One, if that one is not captured on the floor of Parliament, if it's not captured at the floor of Parliament, it's not brought at the floor of Parliament, there's no way we can capture it as the Committee of Government Assurance. And really, even the other one of the manifesto and what we've not yet included.
But you say you want to change the rules of
procedure. Yeah, that one we shall do it. That, why do we need to do that? We want to be, because look, we don't, Edmond, we are not just looking at President Museveni.
Yes.
We are looking at Uganda. We are looking at Uganda. We are looking at the next president. We are looking at the next leadership. We are looking at all this.
We are not victimizing anyone.
Yeah, we are not victimizing anybody. Actually, here we are just bringing a sober Uganda. You are standing for this. Please make sure that your party, because remember, me and Otto stood on FDC ticket.
Yes.
Kiwanda stood on NRM ticket.
Yes.
And this manifesto, that manifesto which brought me in the house.
Yes.
So members should be able to discuss this manifesto. Okay, as we promised, do have the funds to fulfill this. Do have this. So all this is needed. That's why we need at least a sober leadership, so that what you promise, you are able to fulfill it. Okay, as of now, we may not take all of them,
but
at least we have somewhere to begin from.
All right, we have to go for a break. This is Spectrum listeners on Radio 1 tonight. MPs threaten tough action against ministers over assurances. What mechanisms are they planning to hold to hold them accountable? We're hearing strange things tonight. People are supposed to tell only the truth, the entire truth, and probably nothing but the truth. We're going for a break. We'll be back.
Daddy, what is photosynthesis?
Yes, photosynthesis is a process which is a procedure which is but Runda, you can tell it to me if you know it, my God. Tell it to me.
Daddy, now I know why I beat the last in class.
Thursday, the 2nd of February. Don't miss this thrilling 5-star madness comedy show by your favorite comedy group Fun Factory. Back from leave to launch their new indoor home, Plaza Theatre, on Ginger Road opposite KCB Bank main branch. Time 7:30 p.m. Entrance fee 20k just. Brought to you by Mirinda. Loosen up.
This back to school, Nido is giving you the ultimate send-off. For every tin of Nido 400 grams you buy, you get a free mug. Now you can enjoy Nido right from a mug of your own. Rush down to the nearest supermarket and get a tin of Nido 400 grams with a free mug and enjoy the new term.
John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special. You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. MPs threaten tough action against ministers over assurances, in other words, over promises they make to you, the electorate. What mechanisms are these MPs planning to use to hold them accountable? Our guests tonight, Hon Samuel Odonga Otto, Member of Parliament for Aruu County, also Chairman of the Committee on Government Assurance, and Hon Godfrey Kiwanda, Member of Parliament for Mityana North, also a member of the Committee of Government on Government Assurance. You'll be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Before we move any further, very briefly, Honorable Otto, tell us again, how serious is the issue of these unmet pledges? What percentage do people fulfill when they speak out to pledge?
Actually, to me, being a minister in this parliament, especially the 9th parliament, is not going to be a lucrative thing. Whether you have the best suits, you are driving the best car with the escort to salute you.
Even with sirens.
Even with sirens. The moment you come before the committee chaired by Honorable Otto,
it's going to turn hot.
And you are going to be a liar. When you turn out to be a liar, you are fooling Ugandans.
You'll sweat in spite of the air condition. I can
assure you, like today, I informed the people of Bujagali, if by July the 12th, the 31st, all the 5 turbines are not open, I promise we shall invite the minister and even the contractors from the dam and bring CID, where we have CIDs attached to our police, to our committee, and have people arrested and reprimanded. Because this committee is the only committee in parliament which does not handle post-mortem. Someone would have stolen money, then they start following.
Right.
Local government, someone would have stolen money, then they start following.
Yes.
The committee of Kosase, the same. It is government assurance which can save Ugandans before a contract gets bad. So we are actually pre-mortem, if that word exists, not post-mortem.
We understand.
So for the ministers who make empty promises, their days are numbered. For the president, for example, when we launch this publication on the 14th, we shall cause a copy to be taken to the president to read by himself what he has been promising to Ugandans in the budget speech.
Which document? Spell out for us what you mean by that document which you are launching.
We are calling it, it is the government assurances between the beginning of this parliament to the end of last session. Government assurances. And we are very specific, the assurances made by the president, the assurances made in the budget speech, where people tune radios, close shops, the assurances made by ministers. So actually, to me, I think I still thank God that made me, I was a vice in this committee before that, now I'm the chair, and with a very robust team of open-minded NRM members. I can tell you, if you are in our committee, unless you are being reminded that this is NRM, this is FDC, you will not see any distinction, because everyone wants services delivered. The president promised better health services. We went to Karamoja, looking at the schools, looking at the health centers. So our committee actually covers virtually everything the president has committed before parliament. So I can assure you, Edmond, and all the listeners there, that we need the support, we need the prominence. We are going to make life very hard. And as we make progress, if there's going to be a cabinet reshuffle, we may even write to the president
until
the list of impudent ministers who may be declared persona non gratas in parliament. So if they are listening there, I think it's time now you have to walk the talk. We are here to add fire beneath you, you know.
And you don't think that, well, some people might have forgotten some of their pledges. Maybe you'll forgive them. Honorable Kiwanda, do you think it's going to work? Government might decide to sabotage it. Or some officials in government.
Sabotaging the committee's work?
Well, yes, it might be a difficult thing for them to say the entire truth.
Yeah, but the only way you can sabotage this is to say nothing on the floor of parliament. Really, because you said before the floor of parliament and everyone is listening. People these days, they are watching parliament as if it's football, as if it's football match. Really, you are saying this before Ugandans.
People are taking a keen interest in matters of parliament.
Exactly.
Yes.
What the committee is doing is number one, just extracting the assurance you've made to Ugandans. We are not witch hunting anybody. Really, you've made a promise. If you are not sure about that promise, don't make it. Don't make it. And there's no way you can sabotage it, because we've said after 3 months we are coming out with a publication.
Every quarter
we are coming out with a publication. And we are amending and we are making, by the way,
you want people to change profession.
From what to what?
Well, from politics to something else.
No.
Telling the truth in politics.
They just need to probably to change the way they think about politics. They should know politics is for real. So that's the only
you can tell the truth in politics and survive in there.
Exactly.
Make a successful career.
You can survive. There is no problem by telling Ugandans that, okay, we said we wanted to do this road, but as far as we know, as far as we have, our budget is this. We cannot have 3 dams, we cannot build 3 dams at the same time.
Yes.
Our budget is like
that's
this.
not all permit.
Exactly.
How about MPs? When you want to come to parliament, there are things you say in your constituencies. Will you follow those as well?
Those ones, the committee.
Those ones are forgiven.
Yeah, no, not only
they have a grace period.
Not forgiven, but MPs are standing on party tickets.
Yes.
And the party which makes a manifesto.
Sure, but the manifesto doesn't go to every village.
The manifesto may not be going to every village.
The man might go to his village and say, I'll give you street lights even in your banana gardens. What
of course, that one is an assurance the village, and the villagers will demand it. If you don't provide it, they will say, no, you know what you want. You said this, you cannot. But at times, people also demand for bridges where there are no rivers.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody is demanding.
You might be planting a river.
No, okay. But over this, basically Edmond,
yes,
we are not, you cannot sabotage this. You can, certainly can.
But you come from the NRM, they might call you somewhere and say, change the way you speak.
But how? Because the way you speak, the only thing is that we've warned them in advance. Yeah. And actually we are making even a provision of withdrawing. If you know this.
Or if they've said something in the past,
withdraw.
And maybe they forgot about it, they can come and say, well.
Yes, because Ugandans are making a follow-up. Because if we continue, Edmond, just saying anything and we say forward on the floor, people will lose trust in their leadership.
Yes.
They'll lose trust in parliament. They'll lose trust in cabinet. So this is, we are just adding value to parliament.
Ethics and integrity.
Ethics and integrity.
Like, for example, the president promised compensation of all those who lost their property in the war.
Yes.
Now, some people in Luero Triangle, since 1987, they are now walking with sticks.
Exactly.
They are still loitering around president's office, looking for their money, their compensation. We want to put an end to this. There are people who have won cases against government, and they are dying without receiving their payment.
Even on the work limits, look at the well triangle.
Do you have a figure for the presidential? We seem to think about 6 billion. Is that a realistic figure?
No, Edmond.
For the president alone? Doesn't sound like a huge figure.
For us, even if it is 1 shilling,
just be paid.
Even if it is 1 shilling, you either pay, you either put up, or you either shut up. Because we cannot be taken for a balloon ride. I've been in Parliament now 11 years.
Yes.
And I've seen quite a lot.
You're in your 3rd term.
Yes. So, like in Zambia, where government assurance seems to function best in Africa, for you to make a statement that we are going to tarmac the road from here to Karamoja,
yes,
and you have not checked on the budget,
the
they will say you're out of your mind.
Yes.
You must be a mad person to come and make outrageous statements. So these campaigns of comedies of dancing before people, Pakachini, shouting, I'm going to bring it. Bring what? If you're a minister, you don't have room for that kind of thing. If you are a president, the minister in charge of presidency will be under a lot of pressure, because these are the people who write the president's speeches. Like today, we are very disappointed. The president is saying a different date for opening Bujagali.
Yes.
The minister, Engineer Muloni, a different date. Lujanga, a different date. Minister of Finance Kiwanda, a different date. What kind of government is it?
Well, there are 5 turbines. Maybe one of them will be open.
No, so we are saying if the president would go to address the people in Kapchorwa, the minister in charge of presidency should be able to make sure that the president coordinate with other ministries and make sure the president talks what is feasible. These things of going on a campaign and then you end up promising anything, it's not going to work.
But you're being unfair to these people. Some of these pledges are made at parties. You mentioned Pakachini. You know very well that what a person says after the 1st glass of wine is different from what they say after the 2nd glass and after the 3rd glass. How are you going to do it?
We don't capture that. But what I want Ugandans to know, these ministers keep moving in your constituency. They keep attending weddings. If they ever come and make commitments on behalf of government, even at midnight, please raise it to the area MPs, and then they come and raise it before the floor of parliament.
So you're saying that even though the president doesn't come to parliament, if he says something somewhere in a village,
yes,
let the villagers who have heard it take it to the area MP.
Yes.
Let the area MP bring it to parliament.
Yes.
Well, but the president doesn't show up. How does it get to him?
It is immaterial. We have powers even to summon the president before the committee.
On an ongoing basis, he goes to my village in Mukono, says something, and then I bring it to my MP, and then then, they bring it to Parliament. You can't do that all the time. You're always making
the British are very wise. This committee is not headed by opposition for nothing. Yes. Supposing we have these publications every day for 5 years, that means in the next campaign, and by the way, we are sending copies to all administrative units in Uganda, to all the sub-counties and to all the districts. So in 5 years, there will be almost a 100-kilogram book of your life. So life will become very hard for you to win the next election. So I think even the president is fairly sensitive.
And even MPs.
Yes, the president is fairly sensitive?
No, he should be fairly sensitive. Someone is publishing your lies. And you're continuing telling more lies. That means you must be having a problem with the person who writes your speeches. So the president is not an individual. We are not talking of you, Eric Agwata Museveni.
Yes.
We are talking of the presidency.
Yes.
It is an institution. It is not the son of Kaguta. It is the institution, the fountain of honor in Uganda.
Right.
And it's supported by ministers. All these ministers act on behalf of the president.
Right.
So there is no way we are going to personalize like we are witch hunting you, Eric Agwata Museveni. No. Service delivered is for all Ugandans. If there is a road in Mityana, when I'm driving there for a Kwanjula, even me from Pade will drive in that road. So we need results.
Edmond, you've also mentioned something about the president promising something in Mukono.
Yes.
And the president may not be in Parliament. But you have the lead of government business in Parliament.
Who represents it?
So
that one takes a hit.
Yeah, of course.
At the moment, that's Amama Baba's there.
Yes, I raise it on the floor.
Honorable
the lead of government business. Even if he's not the lead of government business. But any minute.
Somebody standing in for
comes in and say, okay, the president promises, but we are ready, we are going to do it. That's already an assurance.
Don't keep those people busy. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. You can call in now and we'll calm your calls. Our number 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you are calling from. Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
Yeah, my name is Paul.
Yeah.
I really welcome this move. I think that democracy is at its lowest level, and I really feel sorry for the leader. There's a time when the leader spoke, people would stand around radios and they would buy the tapes of his speeches. But now we've got to a point whereby the president is making a speech on the TV and everybody has switched it off. This is a credibility crisis that the gentleman has, and I think this move is really going to help him recover from this. We're at a level where nobody knows what the president said on TV yesterday. A poll was carried out and found that hardly 2% of the population sits down or has interest in a presidential speech, which is a very, very important thing. But it's because of what is called hot air that he gives out that has caused him this credibility crisis. But I hope this move will help him recover on that. Thank you.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
All right.
Hello? Okay. You're live on Spectrum. Your name?
Hello?
Hello, your name?
Hello?
Hello, you're live on air. Your name?
My name is Jemima.
Jemima, yes?
Yeah, I'm calling to inquire about the difference between presidential pledges and government pledges. And secondly, Honorable Kiwanda comes from the NRM ruling party. There is a next special committee that is supposed to handle all pledges that were put by the president. How is he going to reconcile his party position with that of his committee? I thank you.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
This is Richard.
Yes, Richard.
Thanks for the show. I think this is one example where we see the opposition playing a good role where it's not just arguing about whatever the ruling party does, but something that's substantial, that's worth listening to. I had one quick question for Odonga Otto, which I didn't quite understand. What happens to pledges made by ministers who have since either been fired or ceased to be ministers? Thank you.
Spectrum, hello? Hello?
Hello, Edmond.
Yes, your name?
Good evening.
Good evening, your name again?
Yeah, this is Hamburger.
Yes, Peter.
Now, Edmond, I want to ask Hon Godfrey Otto and Hon Kiwanda that they should not only concentrate on what was pledged within the parliament where they are serving today. If you are working for the country, I want to give you one example. For the last so many years, during budget speeches, there were so many roads that were allocated money, so many roads. They've been read and read over the years. Every budget speech, Those roads are mentioned, Parliament approves money, and that money, I believe, is spent, but not on those roads. Those roads have been really, they just ring in my memory, I can tell you. Ishaka to this road to this, Kisoro to Kabale to Katuna, those roads were allocated money and Parliament approved. But they were not done, and some of them are being done today. So if you think you are working for the country, not merely for the tenure where the Parliament you are serving, you should look back at the assurances and the pledges that were made some years ago. Work for the country, not for the tenure of Parliament where you are serving today.
Well, interesting there. Spectrum, one final call.
Hello, Edmond.
Yes, your name?
Yes, my name is Ronald, calling from Entebbe.
Yes, Ronald.
Yes, I want to ask Honorable Odonga Otto, how are they going to differentiate from the presidency's speech and from the personality of the president? Yes, how are they going to differentiate?
Okay. All right, let's take another caller. Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Please switch off your radio, walk away from it.
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
Hello?
Hello, you're live on Spectrum. Your name?
Yeah, my name is Dr. Andrew Musime.
Yes, Dr. Musime.
Hello?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm wondering how about the pledges made by the individual MPs, because if Odonga Otto and his team are going to concentrate on the presidency, and we know that even the ministers or sometimes individual MPs make, a number of pledges, including Odonga Otto himself, how are they going to make provision for that? And lastly, how about the issues of balance? If these pledges are made by the presidency, does his committee will it look at the issue of balance in terms of what is pledged in East, West, or Central to see the levels of fairness? Thank you.
Okay, Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, your name?
Is my name.
Yeah.
First of all, I would love to ask, why is it so that it's never effective to the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity? Because it is unethical where a minister or a parliamentarian goes out there to make an empty promise. So I think that the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity get in touch with the police to punish these people who give us empty promises, including the president. I thank you.
No, the president does not, is above the law, technically. Spectrum, hello? Hello, one final caller, your name?
Hello?
Hello, your name, sir?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is Charles Kasoze. But my opinion is there is nothing Parliament can do to the presidency. There is nothing they can do to the government. I think it is high time they just ignored them. In fact, the government laughs at Parliament, especially the opposition. When they start saying we are going to do this, we are going to do this, and they clearly there is nothing they can do to them. They are just ignoring them. They should just leave them until when the time comes and they go and we start enjoying our country.
Let's hear from you on that.
Yeah, let me start with the last one. First of all, I don't think Uganda should lose hope of Parliament powers to question the executive. These are three arms of government. I believe Parliament can do a lot. And that's why ministers are on pressure when we invite them. And really, we are seeing some changes. Only that at times, like as we mentioned as we were beginning this program, that some of the committees we had not made them so relevant.
They were lying down. Now they are working.
Ambrose was saying
maybe on that, Kasozi, as Martin Luther said, for evil to triumph, all the good men must be quiet.
Yes.
So we are not going to give up. We are going to keep doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then Bukenya was saying about that we should punish. I don't think there is any bigger punishment than exposure. We say, as government, when in government and you've been exposed, that's a big punishment. It's a very big one. Really, just coming out as government and withdraw that we promised to do a road from Moyembe to Kapchorwa, or from Kapchorwa to Nakapitu to Moroto here, and we are withdrawing this. There must be explanations. And this MP would go back and explain, government has withdrawn this because of so and so, because of this and this. It's just other than just keeping people in suspense, that they expect the road the next day, and it's not there.
Right.
Yeah, Ronald, individual MPs, this was, individual MPs, with individual MPs, as you say, because this is like the president. The president, if the president is at a party in Kiruhura,
yes,
or in Mityana, and makes that I'll give so and so about 10 cows,
yes,
we cannot take that one as a presidential pledge. Because
it's at a private function.
Yeah, it's a private function.
How about if it's in Karamoja?
But if it's in Karamoja and for the public goods, about a health center, because we are not going.
So you not look at his private constituency, his home area. That doesn't.
No, not only that, because the president can come to Edmond in Mukono, and he has come to attend your wedding.
Yes.
Says I'm going to give you 2 cows.
Yes, that one you won't follow up.
How do you follow up?
Just for emphasis, when I wrote to MPs to write to me the presidential pledges, one asked that there are many private ones.
Yeah.
Should they include it or not?
That's not considered.
Ronald, when I say there is a distinction between the president and the presidency, I actually meant, like over the weekend, it was for a wedding of the Minister of Health.
Give her 2 cows.
Give her 2 cows. That one, we cannot spend time as Parliament saying where are the 2 cows.
Right.
We are looking at public commitments. If it is a road, it is a road. If it is a health center, it is a health center. If it is paying the veterans, it is paying the veterans. If it is compensating people for the ban to win a market, these are the kind of things we are looking at.
Right.
But if you met somewhere and they promise to buy for you a phone, please don't fill my office that my phone was promised. Yes. It is not going to work that way.
Then Jamila was asking about what's going to be our stand as the MPs from the ruling party.
Yes, Jemima.
Yes. Yeah, being Kiwanda, we are from NRM, and these are really, people should also know that when we come to Parliament, the arms of government, the 3 arms of government must be the separation of the 3 arms of government should be protected. Parliament is Parliament, executive is executive, might as work, it's the same government.
Yes.
I must do my role as the oversight. I know, as the rules of a parliamentarian.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you are from a ruling party, then you shouldn't do your work. And by the way, Edmond, this one is going to even put MPs on their toes.
Yes.
Because the constituents will say the president was here, he promised a school, but you've never raised this in the House.
Right.
Because they'll be having the publications. We've never seen this in the publication.
Right.
How comes you've never raised this on the floor of the House?
Will it also be on the internet for ease of access?
Exactly. Actually, so on the internet.
There is under the parliamentary website, there is going to be a portion which will display all the government assurance.
So at any one time people can access it.
So if your MP has never raised it, actually, even this, if the chief whip told the MP is not to raise it, I don't think
it won't work against the MP.
It works against
just
the MPs.
to develop the point of Wambuga.
Yes.
Please get it from us now. If the president makes any pledge outside Parliament, it is the question of the rules.
Yes.
The rule says pledges and commitment made before Parliament.
Yes.
So make sure your MP
brings it to Parliament.
And when the minister responds, then it becomes a government assurance. Actually, in the new rules, we are going to give a specific day where MPs will only be raising the commitments made by the president. So they can give that this week. We are giving it only to constituency MPs to bring the assurances made in the area. So we have already inserted it in our rules of procedures.
Right.
So don't be worried outside there. We are finding mechanisms of getting these people. And then Richard said, what about fired ministers?
Yes.
As of now, there are ministers responding to assurances made by their predecessors.
Right.
So when you are making an assurance, it's on behalf of the ministry.
It could be inherited.
It will be inherited. It has nothing to do with anything personal. The same way we distinguish between the president and the president. So the minister and the ministry are equally different personalities.
Dr. Andrew Musime, will you look at balance of fairness? All the pledges might go to Karamoja.
That's another committee.
That is another committee. There is a committee on equal opportunities.
Right.
Otherwise, whether you have made all the promises in Mbara, we are going to get you there. It is a material for us. And I really want to thank the callers. The only thing you can do now is to support us. We are also trying to make an effort in an area which has been not properly covered.
Right.
So Kasozi, we will not agree with you. Even if there are so many flies, you cannot abandon your wound. that you have now given up. There are too many. And we are going to keep doing something until we make this country a better place to live in.
Well, Paul said, of course, the quality of leaders' speeches has gone down. Many of them think it's a lot of...
And Paul has a case. The moment we have 3, 4, 5 publications, and we send them to all administrative units of Uganda, and people look at the whole encyclopedia of someone's pledges.
So people might go
it
back.
will really help even to let the leaders style up and be fairly reasonable. So I would appeal to the listeners out there, please bring all these issues to the attention of your MPs. Parliament, through the Speaker of Parliament, she has already agreed, they will give a specific day where MPs will raise district by district the pledges and commitment made in those districts, so that we can get these ministers. I can assure you, we shall get them. And if you're a minister listening there, save us from your lies. This committee is foolproof, and we are working irrespective of political differences. And by the way, if the government delivers on all their pledges, it will become difficult even for us in FDC to remove them.
Right.
So it is in everyone's interest that the government delivers.
We have to go. I hope some of them won't change profession and find it too difficult. You're asking for the truth. You're asking too much from some of them, right? So, well, we have to go. Thank you very much, dear guests. Honorable Samuel Odonga Otto, Aruu County MP, also chairman of the Committee on Government Assurance. Thank you very much. Indeed, Honorable Godfrey Kiwanda, Mityana South Mp, also member of that same committee. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. So Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English. Do stay tuned.
Mike, hands off the railing. No.